Hey guys, this is Jerry. Today I wanted to talk about an argument that I had with my mom. It's a perfect example of emotion versus logic. I made a video a few weeks ago about this, so this is kind of a follow-up, another good example. So the argument was about taxes. I was paid as an independent contractor last year, so when I file my taxes I have to do a 1099, which is different than a W-2. For the W-2, when you're officially employed by a company, the taxes get withheld, and at the end of the year you do your taxes and some of it gets returned depending on how many deductions you have. So people who are fully employed, they expect a little refund check. Now if your refund check is too much, that's actually bad, because what you basically did was you loaned the government money without any interest. So tax advisors always recommend, or economists or financial planners recommend, that if you get too big a tax return, when you do your W-4s, you should put more into your IRAs or put more into your 401ks, etc. But that's another talk for another time. My mom's only gotten W-2s all her life because she's always been fully employed by a company. She's never had to do independent contract work and file 1099s. So she didn't know what a 1099 was this year, or maybe it was even last year. She kept telling me, Jerry, you don't have to do your taxes on your 1099. You made this amount of money, you should get it all back. And I told her, no, you still have to file your taxes first of all if it's over $600. And second of all, the way the 1099 works is no amount of tax gets withheld. You get the full amount, and at the end of the year, or quarterly if you make a lot of money, you have to file your taxes, put the deductions in, and hopefully it all breaks even when you apply the tax rate and then subtract the deductions. So that's what I was telling my mom, and I thought she understood, but she didn't. 2 days ago, so a day before the argument, I sat her down with my dad and her remotely on the phone, and I explained to them what the difference between an independent contractor was and what the difference between an employee was, and how the taxes are done differently. And I thought they understood, and I sent them all the information. I said, look, if you want to read up into it, here's some things to explain what a 1099 form is. So yesterday I did my 1099 and I still had to pay some taxes, which I expected because I didn't make that much money, but I did make some money last year through independent contractor work. You deduct everything, and sometimes the IRS will still get you. You're still gonna have to pay taxes. So my mom heard about this, and this is where the emotions came in. She said, Jerry, my understanding is that below $5,500 you're not supposed to pay taxes. And I said, look, maybe that's how W-2 works, or that's how employees of a company work, but when you're an independent contractor, you always have to file your taxes, and there's a tax rate applied to you at the end. When you do a 1099, you're not expecting a refund. If everything works out, you deduct everything, you break even. But if it doesn't, then you pay a little tax, and that's what I was trying to tell her. And she's like, but you're supposed to get a refund. That's what she kept saying. And I told her, this is not a W-2. Didn't you read anything I sent you? Didn't you take in anything I've been explaining to you for the past few months? And she's like, I didn't have time. At that point, it got to my nerves a little, because one, she didn't educate herself on this, and because she was not informed about it, she was still trying to just, for the sake of argument, maintain her point. And if she read it, we would have been on the same page objectively, instead of her using her emotions to keep defending something that she thinks is right because she doesn't know better. That's what ticked me off so much. And I just said, Mom, Jesus Christ. And then she hung up on me like a kid, a parent, someone in their 50s hanging up on you. It's felt so childish. And I called my dad. I said, Dad, are you being too nice to my mom? Why is my mom acting like a kid again? And my dad's like, yeah, you know, your mom's job is really stressful right now. And I said, well, don't be too nice to her. When she tries to act like a kid, why don't you call her out on it? My mom has this habit of, she alternates who she acts out on. So when I was a kid, and even now, sometimes she'll act out on me when she can't act out on my dad. So I guess because my dad's being so nice to her, she's trying to act it out on me. My mom's just one of these women. She's college educated, has an MD, but then the moment her emotions take over, it overrides everything. Every nice part of her, every rational part of her, every reasonable mother and wife part of her. The moment the emotions ride over, especially when it comes to money. Again, if you want to argue something, be informed about it. And if someone gives you information to help you be informed about it, at least read up on it before you argue again. Because if you don't read up on it, you don't know what they know. And maybe they interpreted it wrong, that's a different story. But if you don't even read up on where they're basing their sources, you are at an argument disadvantage and you're forced to stay with your emotions. It would be one thing if my mom read up on how to do your 1099s and be like, oh, Jerry, this point, hey, you know, maybe you should have did that deduction, but she didn't even read up on it. And she was just saying, yeah, Jerry, well, you should have gotten a tax refund, because she was still in the W-2 frame of mind. My dad's like, don't get upset about it. And I said, look, Dad, I already got upset about it because she got under my skin. She just didn't want to get educated about this, but she still wanted to argue about it. And I'm breaking this down logically now. You know, my emotions are over with this, so I'm trying to make sense of it logically. Growing up, this was the biggest problem between my mom and my dad. The moment $2, $3, $20, anything came into the equation, my mom would revert back to her emotions. She wouldn't be able to see past the money. So, for example, at a restaurant, hey, this dish, I thought it only cost $15. Why did it cost $20? That would upset my mom for the rest of the night. And my dad would get upset too. It's like, why? Just $5. It's not like our family can't overspend by $5. This has to do with the fact that my mom grew up very, very, very poor in China. Her family was farmers, and she also spent 5 years with a psychopathic, abusive aunt. So I don't blame my mom. I know why she's still in her mid-age can't get past some of these quirks that someone mature and someone with her level of education should have gotten past. But still, it's a little frustrating as her son. And I really hope that one day, maybe when my mom becomes a senior, she'll understand money isn't the ends to happiness. Don't think that the difference between saving $2,000 versus $1,000 is gonna make or break your life. It's good to save, but if you do it to the point where you start arguments with your son and your husband, it's not worth it. You have to look at that, account for that in your monetary value. Is saving $500 more or $1,000 more worth a huge argument with your family? It's kind of a behavioral finance way of thinking about it, but just putting it out there. So what are your mothers like? I would love to know. Let's talk next time. Thank you guys so much for watching.